Welcome, everybody, to this Small Business Saturday edition of Furthermore with Amanda Head. I'm Amanda Head. Thanks so much for being here. For those of you who are seeing this for the first time, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I have my audio version of the podcast. And then on Saturdays, this is my love letter to small business across America, to the main streets of America and those businesses and the people who run them. They are the lifeblood of American communities. And I am so excited to welcome in today Kate Assaraf. She is the founder of Dip Sustainable Hair Care. So many good things about this business. And oh, you're just going to love hearing her story and what her business stands for and all of her products. And you're going to hear in just a moment the list of priorities, because it's always great to have all of these attributes to a business that, I love seeing female run businesses. I love that. But ultimately, does the product work? And she talks about that hierarchy of making sure that it is a wonderful, wonderful product. And then everything else is just a bonus. So we're going to be back in just a moment with Kate Assaraf of Dip Sustainable Hair Care. Welcome back, everybody, to a Small Business Saturday episode of Furthermore with Amanda Head. I love this version, or this piece of my podcast, this series within my podcast, because I get to talk to small business owners who are making an impact in the industry that they are in the communities that they are in. And the heartbeat of America is Main Street. Main Street. It's not Wall Street. It's not Washington. It's not LA or New York. It's the heartbeat of America is with small towns and small businesses. So I am absolutely delighted and honored to bring in Kate Assaraf. She is the founder of Dip Sustainable Hair Care. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to talk about your products. I looked them up online and I've been researching them, and you have created a really, really incredible line of products.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Honestly, I know there's like frustration with sustainability everywhere where people are trying to join the movement and then feeling almost burned because they've paid more to get something that they feel is less than what they were using before. And so
Yeah.
my goal with this Dip Sustainable Hair Care was basically like, what if you could make it so good that the plastic free, the sustainability part of it was just a bonus? And
Yeah.
so what if you could make something that could save someone a lot of money and be sustainable? It can happen.
Yeah. So what's your background? Have you been in the hair care industry?
Yeah, I've been in the beauty industry behind the scenes for about 20 years. And what I really learned is that people are very sensitive about buying product. Like people are sensitive about beauty marketing because so much of it is fake.
Yeah.
You know, so much of like the hair care ads you see, like the products that are being advertised are not the ones being used. And so often you see a before and after on live TV and you don't know that they're filling up, they're drawing wrinkles on someone's face and then like magically wiping them off live
Right.
on air. And so I've been behind the scenes in those wings, and I thought, what if I kind of flipped beauty marketing on its head and was like, hey, like this photograph, this image was taken only using our products. These models they're real. You know,
Yeah.
we don't use influencers or fake, like there's like UGC is a big thing right now, and they're
Yeah.
like kind of hired fake customers. Like, what if we only used actual customers on our social feeds? And so that was my goal, was trying to make something authentic that resonated with people when they're so fed up with investing in bad stuff.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to be one of those customers who gets to sing the praises of all of your products. And I agree. I feel like if you go at it from the mentality, because, so often I see businesses that say, sustainable business or woman owned or tribal owned or something, and it's like that's not the, is it a good product? That's nice if you have these other things, if there's some type of relatability, if it's sustainable, if it's clean, obviously, and I have definitely gone uh very far in the clean direction. So I want to get into the plastics part of this as well. But that should just be a bonus. The core and the foundation of the product should be that it works well. So when it comes to your product line, I know it's shampoos and conditioners. I know you have the dry oil. Talk to everybody about all of the offerings on your product line.
Sure. So there wasn't a point in making this product line if it didn't solve a problem, right? So the shampoo bar is basically, you know, that feeling when you have to choose between your workout and a good hair day? You're
Yes, yes,
like,
every day.
like, should I shower or do I need to be somewhere today? Or like,
Yeah,
am I going to wash away the oils in my scalp too much? Like this, like horrible cost benefit analysis you have to
yeah.
do when you want to have your hair looking great wherever you show up. Like that's the shampoo bar solves that because it's so gentle. The ingredients are so gentle that you can use it every day if you want. And so I'm
Wet though, right? Like it's not is it a dry shampoo?
no, no, no.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
a bar. So you basically you take the bar and you run it directly on your head and it explodes
Awesome.
with lather just like conventional shampoos. I was really really adamant about making it work that way.
I love
But
it.
the magic of it isn't the fact that it's a shampoo. The magic is that you can use it every day. So if you're training, like I run half marathons and I run in the woods, um, and I have to shower every day. I can't show up
Yeah.
like I couldn't show up here without showering, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And so yeah, that was the problem I tried to solve. So like it's a shampoo that you can use every day. Plastic free is just like the extra icing on it. And then the conditioner bar that we have, what's really fun about that is it's kind of my secret middle finger to the beauty industry, which is basically the conditioner bar, I built it to compete with like an Oribe or a Pureology or a Kerastase, these fast to consume plastic salon
Yes.
brands that we love. Like I love those brands, but you know, once you become a mom and you have this like choice of what you're gonna are you gonna put your, especially now with, are you gonna put your money towards groceries or are you gonna buy this like little indulgence expensive hair care once a month?
Right.
So the conditioner bar can replace 12 tubes of Oribe Gold Lust.
Oh my
So
gosh.
whether you care about the environment or not, it's which everyone should because we all live here, but it
Right.
will save you $500 a year in just conditioner.
Holy smokes.
And so it's huge. It lasts most people a year, sometimes like 8 months as minimum if you have like like voluminous curls. But
Right.
if you have kind of like hair like mine, it can last 2 years.
Goodness gracious. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
incredible. I want to ask you about the plastic side of things because, I agree. I mean, this is our earth. We only have one of them and we need to take care of it. But there's also the selfishly the human toll of plastics and I can't remember what lecture I was listening to, but they were talking about just the plastics in our lives that we consume, that we rub up against in the form of different types of fabrics, and how toxic that can be to our bodies. Are you finding that as Americans in general, and honestly, you're seeing it, it's kind of newer on the conservative side of the aisle, and not to get too political, but especially since you've got RFK and the whole woo-woo movement coinciding and tracking parallel with what's happening in the White House. I'm seeing tons of people who are moving into the mentality that we have to not only take care of our earth, but we have to be better about the toxins in the things that we use.
absolutely right. And it's almost it's time that it came to a head for everyone on both
Yeah.
sides of the aisle to just join
Yeah.
forces and be like, we demand clothing that doesn't make us sick. We
Yes.
demand personal care that doesn't make us sick and that doesn't, you know, run into our water supply and continue to make us sick and our children sick.
And give us cancer and disrupt our hormones. And
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And it's hard to it's hard to explain to something when explain to someone that it's not an immediate fix, right? Like we are the drivers as consumers of what we want to see next year, 5 years from
Absolutely.
now. And we as consumers have to make a conscious effort to invest in products that we want to see continue.
Mhm.
And so I'm really excited that this conversation about plastics is becoming just mainstream for everyone. Like
Yeah.
no one wants plastic in their brain, and that's where we're
No,
headed, you know?
no. I mean, and consuming a plastic card, a plastic credit
Mhm.
card a month is kind of like the average amount of microplastics that people consume. And it's not necessarily consuming it through your mouth, it's inhaling it, it's seeping in your pores like you and I talked about. I want to ask you about the ingredients because I looked at your ingredients and they are all skin and hair loving, good, nourishing, natural ingredients.
Yeah, they're mostly natural. We have some synthetics in there, and the reason is because all natural I found with hair care is it's not going to give people the desired effect. My big mission is
And it
getting
also
people.
vastly reduces the shelf life, right?
Totally. And
Yeah.
and you know, I watched people buy hair care for about 6 months. I just went into different places and quietly observed. And it's I think you have to really understand what how people shop before you launch anything. You can think you have the best idea in the world, but if you don't know how people shop for it, it's kind of like not worth doing. And so what I saw over and over again was at all different channels, like whether they were in a salon or like a CVS, people walked up to the shelf, grabbed a bottle, unscrewed the top, smelled it, and then read it. And like
Yeah.
you'd be surprised that I it would be like 99 out of 100, which is like
Wow.
more than
Yeah.
9 out of 10. It's 99 out of 100. That's the behavior everywhere. And so
Interesting.
I did this like deep dive on um scents and how important they were for hair care. And it's one of the most important things like that it just drives all the purchasing. And so, but for me personally, like I would love for the world to move towards everything being fragrance free, but that's not the way they shop. So I offer fragrance free, and then I also offer like the cleanest, most high end synthetic fragrances that are have to our knowledge today have no known disruptors in them.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so you can shop the scents on our site and go into a store and experience them yourself and know that they've had the most utmost care in the formulation.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm loving this conversation. My general beat is politics and the White House, but I love getting into these types of conversations because I'm a girly girl and I just love talking about it. So we're going to take a very quick break and we'll be right back on the other side.
Hi, I'm Camilla. I am currently here at a surf camp in Nicaragua and I luckily discovered Dip while I've been out here. I've never had a conditioner like it before where I've been able to brush through my hair about a couple seconds after I've put the conditioner in. I would highly recommend it to anyone who spends a lot of time in the sea and in the sun and anyone who likes to travel a lot. If you want to just throw it in your bag, it's nice and light and easy. So yeah, a little bit of a travel must-have.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here with Kate Assaraf, the founder of Dip Sustainable Hair Care. Everybody, you can check out their website at dipalready.com, find out all about their products. And Kate, we talked about the shampoo and the conditioner. Tell me about the hair and body dry oil.
Okay, so the hair and body dry oil is kind of the first of its kind that I've seen where you know how you first of all, multi-purpose is like one of my favorite things. You just have to buy less. So it
Yes.
can take away flyaways, it can refresh curls, you can refresh scent in your hair if that's important if you're going a few days without showering. But then what it also you can also apply it to your skin and your hands and your arms and legs. And like whether you're about to put on leggings or or get into a hot car with like shorts on, like
Yeah.
the dry oil dries, like it moisturizes and dries within seconds.
Oh, that's so great.
So you can put it in your hair and then your hands are dry to touch your phone. And this might not sound important to a lot of people, but if you're like at a hair salon and the person is putting like serum in your hair,
Uh-huh.
then they can like go and touch their tools right away to
Yeah.
to maneuver through life.
I love that. And I am a huge fan of like you said, the multi-purpose stuff. And I think that it's so useful. It's something you can just throw in your bag and you can use it to, like you said, tame flyaways, which for me working in on the broadcasting side of things, that's something that I have to pay attention to in my work. But just dry skin and stuff, I love that. I want to get into the business side of things because I think I saw somewhere that there's an estimated 15,000 small businesses expected to shutter their doors in 2025, and that utterly breaks my heart. I'm a millennial, so I have lived life in the reality where you don't have the Amazons and you don't have, the Walmarts to the degree that you do now as far as their online shopping and shipping and such. So I remember growing up and going to a bookstore or a hardware store or a grocery store that wasn't a chain or something like that. Um, Talk to us about for you the climate for business right now. Does it feel like things are moving in a better direction, or does it feel like this is kind of like the end of the road for a lot of small businesses?
I champion small businesses as much as I can, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, even I've moved to my town now because the hardware store was adorable, because there was
Yeah.
a local ice cream shop, because there's a local clothing boutique and bookstore. Like that's the kind of town I chose to raise my children in.
Yeah.
But I am seeing a decline because we sell exclusively in small stores, and they're not really like faceless store owners to me. I interact with these store owners
Yeah.
in all 50 states. So I kind of am on the pulse at the front lines of what these store owners are going through. And they are hopeful, but I see a decline. We've only been in business for 3 years and sold exclusively in small stores. I've seen about 65 store closures just within my, 500 store reach. And it's not just the store closing, it's the employees that work there, it's the community, it's the events, it's the taxes that go to pay for your libraries, your schools,
Mhm.
your police departments, literally the fire department, literally everything is better when you support your small stores. But the decline is very, very concerning, and I don't I don't know when people are going to start shifting that shopping, because are you going to wait until everything's boarded up and everything's like a freaking urgent care in your town? Like
Yeah.
that seems to be
Yeah.
the only thing that rolls back in. It's like the urgent cares have become like the spirit Halloweens of small stores.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that until now, but that's so true.
It's
It's
insane.
wow, I can't believe I missed that phenomenon. Thanks for pointing that out.
It's something I noticed recently, and I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God, that store became another urgent care? Like how sick are people that we
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like
and that's another conversation for
another
another day,
conversation."
but people are very sick, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so for small businesses to thrive, or I guess let's look at it from the other side. These businesses that aren't surviving. I know for a lot of them it happened during COVID.
Mhm.
I lived in Los Angeles and I know how many, mom and pop businesses were forced to shut down because during COVID, Walmart was open, Costco was open, Target was open, but they wouldn't allow, the corner market to keep their doors open. But now that we're out of COVID, what is the prevailing challenge for small businesses now?
I think it's because Amazon tries so desperately to seduce brands onto the platform with this promise of 10xing your sales. I've
Mhm.
literally been at a trade show where I thought I was going to meet with small store owners, and it was mostly, I call them Amazon vultures. They're basically like coming to my booth and being like, because I have a little thing that says like not sold on Amazon. And so these vultures will come to the booth and be like, I've been laughed at in my face for not going on Amazon. But
Wow.
here's the thing, the second I put my products on Amazon, I will kill the business for my small stores. I do a lot to incentivize people from our site. Like if you abandon your cart, it says, good, like go find the business. Here's the store locator. Like go find someone in your town that sells dip, because it's not enough this like empty platitude of women supporting women. It doesn't mean anything if you're not actually doing it. And so most of these store owners are women, and what I want to do is I can share the wealth of my brand with store owners all over the country, because what they're doing is good for their community, and we need other brands to kind of stick it to Amazon,
Yes.
and and say, hey, no, we're going to prioritize the stockists that carry our brand.
Um, I've spoken to small business owners and the things that they face with regards to Amazon, and I know exactly what you're talking about with these Amazon vultures, and it is very alluring, but
Mhm.
oftentimes the product itself suffers. There have been products that I bought. it wasn't a salon product. I can't remember what it was, supplement.
Mhm.
And I purchased the supplement from the maker, and then I ended up buying it from Amazon, and all the stuff was stuck together. So when it goes into this Amazon warehouse, it sits, and
Mhm.
then and you don't know what type of climate environment it's in, and obviously with especially skincare and hair care and makeup, the temperature matters at which it's stored.
Totally.
So is how when Amazon is trying to seduce businesses, what are their selling points?
I've been flat out told you could 10x your sales. And
But I mean, you said they laughed in your face. You could laugh in their face. You have a seven-figure brand.
yeah,
This is not small potatoes.
yeah. And I don't need, contrary to kind of like the Shark Tankification of America, where everyone thinks that you need to, sell a percentage and blow out your business. Like I have a business that feeds my family and pays for our domestic employees, and that is like a big source of pride for me. I don't really need to be like super wealthy. Like I can be very comfortable and know that I can sleep at night knowing I'm not fast forwarding these businesses to be
Absolutely.
put out of, you know, close their doors. Like
Yeah.
there's one store in Richmond, Virginia. It's called Eco Inspired. She sells 4 to 5 dip products per day.
Wow.
That's like the sales velocity. It's not like dip is sitting on a shelf and not moving. It's in these
Right.
stores, and like it's a big revenue driver for a lot of the small businesses out there.
Yeah. So if people want to find your products, I imagine on your website there's a find us button or something. Can
Mhm.
people look up their zip code and find a salon nearby?
Absolutely. So if you go to our store locator, it'll pull up the stores closest to you.
I love it.
Even if there's no store close to you, that's fine. You can order from someone in your state, or you can order from us online. We're not going to not sell to you.
Right.
But if you find that there's nothing close to you, write to me and I'll find somewhere in your town maybe that, we can work together to get it stocked there.
I love it. Are you in all 50 states?
We are in all 50 states.
Beautiful. That's so great.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to what can be done regulation wise, I mean, I'm torn between the free market idea of allowing businesses to flourish. At the same time, I think it is vitally, vitally important to keep small businesses alive. So there's got to be that regulatory balance. When it comes to, legislation and regulations that you keep an eye on, what are the things that you watch for coming out of Capitol Hill and associated agencies with your industry?
Well, I studied economics and math, so I'm a big free market person too.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether any regulations will kind of solve this problem. I think the regulation I'd like to see the most is that Amazon pays its fair share of taxes.
Mm,
I think that's outside of all the kind of other talking points. I think people are fed up with Amazon kind of destroying their hometown stores and then also getting to reap the benefits of keeping all of their cash. And
yeah.
even the brands that sell on Amazon, a lot of from what I've heard from them is that um it's so expensive to sell on Amazon that it's not worth it.
Mm,
But they're in it now, so they're kind of like stuck.
stock. Yeah.
So everyone's kind of running to the top of this like Amazon hill, and then they're not even making the money that was promised to them. They're just churning out a lot more products, which is kind of intensive on the earth, right? And its
Yeah.
resources. So you're churning a lot more to make much less money. And I don't understand that as like it's like a be careful what you wish for. It's like the genie's like, hey, I can 10x your sales. But like actually you're not, you're just doing 10 times the
Just doing
work
more
to
work.
just get like
Yeah.
a little bit of margin.
Yeah.
So that's the law I'd like, or kind of the law, but that's the kind of focus I'd like to see Capitol Hill take is on Amazon and
Yeah.
paying their taxes.
Yeah. Um, Taking the regulation part out of it, so does Amazon just find really, really sweet loopholes, or do they have a specialized status as far as, how they handle their taxes with the IRS?
I actually don't know the answer to that. But I do know that the requirements to sell on Amazon are so like, you know, the amount of margin you have to give them, and then the storage fees, the
Uh-huh.
warehousing. And then, you kind of see on the other side, because everyone talks about sustainability as like earth saving, but there's also like a human element of it. And the way Amazon treats its employees is also like not something I'm really that excited to support. You
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yes.
and I want everyone to know that's listening, I still shop on Amazon. There's lots of
Yeah.
things that I can't get. And so I don't want someone listening to be like, be for real, like, but I do.
Right.
I shop
Yes.
there.
Well,
And
and
it's my last resort.
yes, and I was going to say that. I mean, I use Amazon. We have Amazon Prime,
Mhm.
but I try to use it as little as possible for a few reasons. Number one, I mean, the sustainability aspect. You think of all of the packaging. I mean, I don't know the facts and figures as far as how many packages Amazon sends out a day, but I imagine it's in the millions and I mean, probably hundreds of millions. So the sustainability side of things is just not great for Amazon just because of that aspect, but also, just getting back to the heart of this conversation, there's that book, The Five Love Languages. I feel like another love language we all need to adopt is shopping small, because that is a love letter to small businesses. It's a love letter to the United States. It's a love letter to the American dream and all of the things that this country was founded on, and in my opinion, still stands for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I'm also a millennial. And don't you remember when we were kids, like you had a local spot for almost everything you needed.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
if you ever played sports, like I played softball, I know it was a local business whose name was across our softball shirts.
Yeah.
And I know that every kid doing a fundraiser went to like all of the businesses in town, and it was part of like the beauty of being part of a community.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky that in my community here, I live in Sparta, New Jersey, and still got that community level to it. And there is like a small clothing boutique, like if I want something new and cool. And like
Yeah.
I'm I'm really thankful for that, but I know that that community is starting to erode. Um, the more people are shopping, I would just say Amazon, Shein, and Temu.
Hmm.
Those three. And I think before anyone kind of clicks add to cart or buy now on any of those platforms, you have to think about making your money work for you and where you chose to live and where you have like pride, where you've put yourself in like a 30-year mortgage. Like, or you have to take your money and have it recycle through your community. Um,
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're sending it to these other places and it doesn't work for you anymore.
Yeah. And I cannot rail hard enough against Shein and Temu. And I'm going to talk about this in another segment because I don't want to waste your time with it. But boy, oh boy, I mean, you want to talk about so many, so many reasons to not utilize those, not even talking about the small business aspect of what you and I support. Okay. Before I let you go, Kate, your bestseller, what's the bestseller product?
The bestseller product by far is the coconut and almond shampoo and conditioner bar bundle. So like check that one out. It sells like 2 to 1 over all the other scents, especially
Awesome.
even in store. And can buy that conditioner bar and never think about buying from me for another year.
Well, I don't want people to think about that. I want people to think about just placing new orders all the time. What's the scent, by the way, of the dry oil?
I do it across all scents. So
Okay,
every
cool.
single scent, including fragrance free. So you can have
Nice.
whichever you want.
I love it. I love it. So everybody go check it out, dipalready.com. And Kate, what are the social media channels? You on social media?
Yes, everything TikTok, Instagram. We're most vocal on Instagram and active there. It's at Dip already. So
Awesome.
DIPALREADY.
Very easy, very easy. All right, everybody. Again, go check it out. Dip Already across social media and dipalready.com. Please go check it out. Support it. Support their business. Find out where it's located in your community. That's the best way to buy it, to go to the salon, meet the salon owner, converse with people in your community. It's the best way to revive that heartbeat of America. Kate Assaraf, founder of Dip Sustainable Hair Care. Thanks so much, Kate.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, we're going to take a very quick break and we'll be back on the other side. Welcome back, everybody. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit political, and I don't like doing that with my small business owners unless they give me permission to go political, because, small businesses cater to everyone across the entire political spectrum. So I never want to box them in that situation. However, this is my solo block and I can be as political as I want because it's my podcast. Okay, so I did BBC. What was that? Monday of this week? I do BBC fairly often. Well, I wouldn't say often, occasionally. I don't know why they like me. Maybe it's because I'm Southern and they feel like there's some kind of like kindred spirit between the Brits and their politeness and their manners and Southerners. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so I was on with a Huffington Post reporter, which I love. You guys have probably figured this out about me. I wouldn't necessarily. I'm bellicose in a good way. I am always ready to brawl. I am always ready to rumble in the jungle when it comes to politics. So anytime, at RAV, in my early days at RAV, they would always put me on with liberals because I was just that person who, and I don't typically let things get heated. We can have civil conversations and disagree. But I really, really love the Socratic method and picking topics apart and having those conversations with people on the other side. So anyway, this Huffington Post reporter, to be quite candid, I don't actually remember his name, but we went on to talk about how the press room is going to be changing. And here's the thing. For the White House Correspondents Association, this is an organization that is supposed to be independent of the White House, although I'm sure many of you have observed from the press pool under a Democrat president, they do not operate independently from Democrat administrations because they are pretty much the propaganda arm for the Democrat Party. Now, when it's a Republican in office, all of a sudden they get their journalistic integrity and they fight the power and they all of a sudden have their spine again when it comes to asking hard questions and follow-ups. Now, the White House Correspondents Association has not been made official by any piece of legislation, by any presidential order or proclamation, nothing. So they are not entitled to control the access of the American press to the White House. So what this administration is doing is they are basically opening it up to more people, to more members of the press. And as you have already observed, I'm sure, legacy media and WHCA are up in arms about it. I have never seen such entitled, sanctimonious attitudes and reaction to something in my entire life. It's actually pretty hilarious. And this Huffington Post guy was one such example. I mean, the gall of an administration to allow other forms of press. I mean, they turn up their nose and look down their nose at anyone who is not CNN, NBC, ABC, CBS, and the like. So, but here's the thing. The White House Correspondents Association would have been wise to have come to an agreement with this White House ahead of time, a while ago. After Trump won the election, they should have already been discussing with the White House a means by which they could be bringing in alternative media, because here's the reality. Mainstream media has lost its power. You have podcasts out there that have 10 times the listenership on a single podcast than mainstream media channels have in an entire hour of programming. Many podcasts, not just the ones you've heard about, not just the Joe Rogans of the world. I'm talking people who have podcasts that you haven't heard of, but they just do relatively well. They get 500,000 or 600,000 downloads. And that is vastly more. Even if they get 100,000 downloads, that's more than mainstream media in the key demo in primetime hours. I'm not even kidding, and I'm going to give you the numbers in a minute, but I want to parse out this argument a little more, because for those of you who are old enough to remember, in the early 2000s, you had a lot of newspapers out there, local papers that didn't want to move into the digital revolution. They didn't. I don't know if it's because they thought that the internet phenomenon was ephemeral and that digital news would eventually crash and burn. I totally understand the romanticism of, waking up in the morning and smelling your coffee and having the newsprint on your fingers as you read the news and get ready for your day. I totally get that. But for those organizations, those newspapers, that were so dug in on the aroma of coffee and the newsprint on your fingers, the ones that refused to pivot, they're dead. Those physical newspapers don't exist anymore. That's what we are seeing now. If the White House Correspondents Association does not shift and become more welcoming to alternative channels, and I'm not just talking podcasting, I'm talking about, organizations like Just the News and Real America's Voice that have streaming channels. If they don't open it up to more organizations like that, they will become extinct. And I don't even feel remotely bad about it, because they have become so ossified and stubborn and belligerent in their entitlement that they just won't change. And now it's being foisted upon them, and you are seeing a fair amount of backlash. But you know what? What is it my dad says? You're cruising for a bruising, you're flirting with a hurting. That's what they have been doing for a very long time by refusing to change. Now, here are some of the numbers. Washington Post web traffic in 2021 was 22.5 million daily. They are now down to 2.5 to 3 million. So effectively from 22 million to 2 or 3 million. They lost 85 to 90% of their audience. 2 straight years, they have experienced $100 million plus losses. MSNBC, I mean, they're getting called racist by their own hosts for firing Joy Reid. But in the key demographic, 25 to 54, they have 53,000 viewers in 80 million homes. In 80 million homes, where that is a part of people's cable subscription and package, they only get 53,000 viewers. CNN barely averages 300,000 viewers from 8 to 11 p.m. You guys are already extinct. You are losing. You have lost the information war because the American people don't believe you anymore, because you lie. You cover up for Democrats like Joe Biden and Barack Obama. And look, we're seeing this right now with Joe Biden. All of those people who were like, "Oh, you can't criticize Joe Biden. You can't say that he's incompetent. You can't say that he's enfeebled. You can't say that his mental capacity is working at, 50% because he's practically brain dead most of the time. You can't criticize the fact that he doesn't start his workday until 11 a.m. You can't criticize the fact that he has to do everything before 6 p.m. Otherwise, he turns into a pumpkin." And now you've got the same people who are putting books out there about the cover up of Joe Biden's mental capacity and his deterioration. You did it. You're the one who did it. And now you're writing a tell-all about how it happened? Ugh. These people lie, and that's why the American people don't trust them anymore, and they don't watch them anymore. And the only way that these organizations are held up are by their cushy relationships with Big Pharma. And that's why you heard the same script across the board during COVID about the vaccines. So they're getting major paydays from, the likes of pharmaceutical companies, and in some cases grants. So I think it was JFK has a quote. What is it? Change is the law of life, and those who only look to the past or present are certain to miss the future. And that is exactly what we are seeing. The White House Correspondents Association missed the future. Past tense. They've already missed it, because now they're being effectively tossed out. Now, the talking point from this Huffington Post guy that I spoke to on BBC said, effectively, you're going to have the White House choosing who reports on them. You know what? Let me pull up. So every morning, I get an email, either the night before or the morning of. I get an email from the Office of Communications that lets everybody know who is going to be a part of the pool the next day. Okay, so the in-town pool. The Wire is from Bloomberg. Photographic pool is New York Times, Reuters, Getty, and AFP. TV correspondents and crew, CBS. Secondary TV correspondents and crew, OAN, Print, Newsweek, Radio, BBC. These are not conservative, Trump-loving organizations, with the exception of OAN. You're not getting iced out of coverage, you whining, sniveling, ungrateful, entitled fossil. You are just getting put on a rotational basis on the same level as organizations who, by the way, do better with the American people when it comes to viewership and readership. So cry more. Okay. Okay. I think my rant is done for today. Everybody, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thanks for tuning in today for the Small Business Saturday episode of Furthermore with Amanda Head. As usual, we have our Monday, Wednesday, Friday audio podcast that comes out, and that's on all of the podcasting platforms. And then, of course, this Small Business Saturday episode that we try to put out every Saturday, and we're getting back into the groove of that. So thanks so much for being here. We'll see you on Monday.